Welcome to the Dad's Parlor YouTube channel. I'm with my 48 Dodge. Really just wanted to do an update video. This Dodge, if you haven't seen any of my other videos, I put a fish carburetor on this Dodge. Got a Flathead 6. It was my grandfather's from his racing days, so it's probably a 1950s fish carburetor. And in my last video, I kind of walked through what it looked like, how a fish carburetor works. And I mentioned that I had some bogging issues, and I got a lot of good feedback on that video. It's hard to find information on it, or even anybody who really knows how they work. So I uploaded that video, got some feedback on it, a couple of questions, and then just kind of talk a bit about how I solved the bogging issue. My dad and I actually worked on it. We figured it out, but my solution was different than a couple other people I talked to and their solution. So I'll kind of talk through that too. I think that's pretty helpful for anybody else who might have one of these old carburetors, performance carburetors that they want to put in an engine but not really sure how they work because they are a little different than other carburetors. I'll link my other video on the walkthrough, and I kind of had it open and how it worked and talked about it. So I'll have that linked somewhere, probably in the description, and if I can add it up on the screen if you're viewing it on the phone. But I'll show you how I adjusted this carburetor so that it solved my bogging issue. All right, so a real quick walkthrough. Over here on this side, so you've got the bowl and the floats in there. You can undo this viewing screw there. And that's where others I've talked to actually have the same kind of bogging issue with this carburetor. But you can actually, there's a flap in there. And again, if you watch my other video, you'll see it open. But the float in here, you can actually bend the tab and sort of lift that float to help maintain that fuel level in the bowl, because you really, I've got an Allen wrench here in my hand, but you really want that fuel level to be right here at the bottom of the screw while it's running, somewhere in there, and that's a good level for it to be. So if it's not, you may want to adjust the float. That's one way that you can resolve that bogging. And the two people I talked to actually solved it that same way, but for me it was a little bit different. I had a good level in the bowl. For me, if you can see, right here in the middle, in this butterfly, these three holes is where the fuel comes out. So it actually runs through from the bowl in the middle of the butterfly and then comes out here. So when you open it, right when it's open, it starts to turn. I had it perpendicular, so it was just sticking straight up. So it actually was running pretty rich at idle, but then it was lean when it was open. So to resolve that, and that's why it would bog. So for me to resolve that, all I'm going to do here is I'm going to loosen up these screws in here, just knock them loose. And then what I can do is then open it. The butterfly will stay closed, and I'm just going to push it open a little bit so that that starts to angle. Those holes start to lean and angle a little further, so that when it's open, they're aiming down and it's pulling more fuel in rather than if it's just horizontal. So that actually resolved the bogging issue for me. I do have a little bit, so I'm just going to adjust those a little more now, and I think that's going to take care of it for me. All right, so I had to stop there for a minute so I could do it. I needed two hands to basically move the butterfly and then tighten those Allen screws. But hopefully you can see that. It's not a big difference, but now those holes down here are pointing more towards me now. They're leaning more toward this way. But you can also see, because I adjusted that, the butterfly is now open a little too far in that direction, so it's kind of angled that way. So now all I'm going to do is adjust this set screw here so that idle is open, or idle is beginning to open a little more, so I push it further that way. And then once I do that, that'll be completely closed, and I've made that adjustment so that the holes are angled in a way where the fuel is actually aiming in toward the carburetor when it's open, and then not as perpendicular or not as vertical when we're at idle. But that's it. I hope that helps. Again, the other two people I talked to, adjusting that float and just making sure that the float was in an area where when it's got fuel in the bowl, it brings that level right about to that viewing screw there. But again, for me, it was just the angle of the where the fuel enters the carburetor, just the angle of those holes there, that channel. If you've got a fish carburetor and something else worked for you, or if either one of those things worked for you, put it down in the comments. Let us know. We kind of got to figure this out a little bit. There's not a whole lot of paperwork. You can't find a whole lot on these fish carburetors. So any insight, any ideas, anything cool, any experience you have, if you got one, how's it running for you? Let us know. Thanks.